Hello everybody, welcome to Sounds Like Liberty. This is episode 41 with the Launchpad Media, always launching ideas in your direction. I'm your host, Lizzie, and I'm with my fabulous co-host, Mr. Nicky P. How you doing? So, what do we got going on today?
Today we have a fancy episode.
Oh, the fancy one, okay.
Fancy in that we're going to get through one of the simplest songs ever in this here analysis.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Gonna talk about some fun records, maybe complain about some stuff, and we're gonna get down to business with the one, the only Campit of the Friends Against Government podcast.
Always delightful.
I mean, I've only talked to the guy in person once, and it was delightful.
I
don't know if it's
reference
always delightful.
To the podcast, but
you think our podcast is delightful?
You seem to enjoy it a lot. I was talking about the Friends Against Government podcast.
I was gonna say, you listen to Friends Against Government podcast?
It's a little much for me on a regular basis, but I have listened to it.
It's not too much for me.
All you incorrigible scamps.
I would say sometimes it's not enough for me.
Well, there you go.
They had a really, really good episode last week with the Anarchitecture guys.
Ooh, neat.
Which apparently they make music. We should probably link to that in the show notes for today.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I'll get you the link. He sent me it.
Nice.
I don't remember the band name off the top of my head.
Okay.
They were good. They were a little jammy.
Yeah.
Little this and that.
I can dig it.
So let's start things off the way we do. So Liz's suggestion today was to analyze I Fought the Law. Which version were we doing, Liz? Did you want to do the Clash version, or did you want to do the old man version by the Bobby Fuller 4?
I feel like the Clash version is the one that pops up in my mind when I think of the song.
It's also the one that Google likes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
Well, there you go.
And it's funny because we got 1966, I think it is, and then 1977. I wonder what happened in those intervening 11 years.
There you go.
So, breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law, and the law won. I fought the law, and the law won. I need money because I had none. I fought the law, and the law won. I fought the law, and the law won. I left my baby, and it feels so bad. Guess my race is run. She's the best girl that I ever had. I fought the law, and the law won. I fought the law, and the... What do you think is in these lyrics, Liz? What is the...
Well, I'm assuming breaking rocks in the hot sun is making reference to prison work. That's
yes.
sort of not very useful to people. I mean, it is useful, but barely. Basically just making you work for the sake of making you work.
Yeah, I mean, those people that he robbed are totally going to get their money back, right?
No, that's not how that works, unfortunately.
Oh, wait, so we have a punitive system?
Yeah.
As opposed to a... What's that word that we use that? Compensatory system?
Yeah. It's not about getting them back what you deprived them of.
That doesn't sound like a system makes any sense if it's not designed to make whole the people who were lost.
Nope.
Huh. That's odd. This song was written, obviously, a generation before these guys started doing it.
Yep.
And their version is more danceable than the original, but...
Yes.
You know, he left his baby now because he's off to prison.
Yep.
Now, do you feel like he should have gone to prison based on this next verse we're about to read? What do you tell us? Why don't you read it?
Okay, let's do that.
Let's get to it.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I lost my girl and I lost my fun. I fought the law and the law won.
I mean, I would imagine that is a natural problem that you're going to have if you're robbing people.
Yes.
That you're going to be incarcerated. Even in a, free market legal system, like I'm sure I would definitely appreciate, and you perhaps would appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like you're not going to be dealt with.
Right. You're not going to just keep robbing people and we're going to be okay with it.
Yeah, although I will say, I don't think that they probably would throw you in jail, because that doesn't do any good.
Right.
How are you paying people back when you're in jail?
But, if they take your money that you're still out there earning, then you might still lose your baby, I suppose, if she's that kind of chick.
Yeah, it's very true. And then it just repeats a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling like getting too deep into the song.
Yep, there's not too deep.
Fuck the law.
Pretty much. Well...
Or fuck the police.
I was gonna say the way that we enforce.
It's true. We're separating like the Bastiat law from like the modern American legal system. Yes.
You can fuck the modern American legal system.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right. So I'm gonna lean on you on this one today, because I just kind of feel angry at the song. What do you want it to fall on the scale?
I guess it's kind of negative towards the legal system, but
should stick it.
I don't know that
stick it in the middle.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards the Lou Bega end on it, because it's not really giving you enough information to say, if it's for or against. Obviously,
Got some interesting ideas.
This guy,
some points. He's a shitty guy.
He's a shitty guy.
It's like a shitty guy versus the shitty legal system.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, cool. See what's going on.
Welcome to I Heard This Happen, the segment for aging hipsters. Each week we scour Bandcamp for underground new releases to wow your teenage children. So without further ado, here's new music.
So, and I heard this happen this week.
Mm-hmm.
I finally get to talk about a record that I've literally been waiting for probably since Christmas time.
So excited.
Like, I know when this song came out, like when I heard the first single off of it, like I was geeking the fuck out, and it was snowy as shit.
You're so happy.
Yeah, like I messaged you and I'm like, oh my god.
And I was excited about it.
I was super pissed because there's no more.
Yeah.
No, so they released a single on this thing months and months and months before it came out.
Totally worth the wait.
Yeah. So the problem is that it came out so fucking far after like I knew about it, and I've been trying to like keep it in like with the Bandcamp queue, like where I'm seeing it, and it got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
it just did.
Happens.
It came out on the 8th, so while I don't like talking about old records, we kind of missed the boat on this one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk about it because it's fucking awesome.
It is awesome. I agree.
So I've Come a Long Way by Alexis Evans from Bordeaux, France.
There you go.
As I said, it came out on the 8th. It's an 11-track throwback soul album.
It's gorgeous.
Reminds me of like Mayer Hawthorne, St. Paul and Broken Bones, Sam and Dave, Eddie Floyd, and Nathaniel Rateliff to a little bit. The Memphis Horns has had a little few notes in there. My favorite song is How Can I Get Over? Which is funny because it's one song that opens up almost like with it breaks the kind of, I don't want to say it breaks the fourth wall. It breaks the vibe for just a moment to make you, it kind of draws your attention back in almost, because it has a synthesizer part that I wasn't expecting, and then you're right back into this classic soul vibe. So,
nice.
I waited months for this thing to come out. I'm still pissed about it. I can say it's well worth the wait.
Oh yeah,
like it's a killer record. And I thought for a moment that it wasn't gonna be, because the first track's a little shaky for me. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we just had the one good song on the record. Maybe there aren't a bunch. But I stuck it out, and it was well worth it. You know, in general, the record's pretty awesome.
Nice.
It reminds me kind of like what Mayer Hawthorne did with A Strange Arrangement, but it kind of has more of a St. Paul and the Broken Bones upbeat vibe.
Okay.
The production is kind of somewhere in between the two. Yeah, it's not like modern Mayer Hawthorne production, which is kind of more R&B than throwback soul. So the whole record, honestly, is just a big homage to the Stax recording artists. God bless them for it, because we can use more of that stuff.
For sure.
I immediately wanted to send a copy to my old man.
Aw.
I'd be like, here you go, Dad.
That's always a good sign.
He's not that old, but he'd dig it.
He would dig it, yeah. And he likes the old school soul, that kind of stuff.
He does. So, I've Come a Long Way by Alexis Evans. That's what you need to go listen to today.
Nice. I've got a record called Phone Home by a band called Rain the Sky. They're from Montreal. And reminded me of like old Weezer, that old kind of like...
More synthesizer-y than Weezer.
Yeah, but...
more punk than Weezer, too.
The old...
Does everything remind you of
punk
Weezer?
Stuff. No, not everything, but it reminded me of that and like the old pop punk stuff. Like I would mention bands that people wouldn't know, like Brave Saint Saturn, but it kind of reminded me of that stuff.
It sounds like a Christian band.
I think they were a Christian rock band.
That's why I don't know who they are.
But I really enjoyed it. It's an EP. It's just 4 tracks. It came out on the 15th. But you should check it out. Rain the Sky. With Phone Home.
It's a kind of cool album cover, I guess.
Yeah, they've got some fun stuff going on.
Well, fancy that.
Hey, how's it going? Nicky P here. Want to support the show or just give a big middle finger to Patreon? Consider stopping over to supportsll.com. Members of the Freedom Choir get access to the private Facebook group and actual physical merch. Want access to the unedited raw interviews as they're recorded way before they're released? It's in there. Is that not enough? And you want membership to Freedom Song 365? It's in there. There's even monthly bonus swag for top tier supporters. So head on over to supportsll.com. Help Liz and I get to libertarian functions and even just cover the costs of making the show. If I'm not a good enough salesman, how about this?
Support my mom and dad and Sounds Like Liberty. Go to supportsll.com.
You heard her, folks. Join the Freedom Choir at supportsll.com.
So, a couple little notes here before we get into this interview with Campit.
Okay.
The tickets are in.
What?
They're on the computer. Porkfest is happening.
Oh, snap.
It's going to be ridiculous, but it's going to happen.
I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome.
I'm pretty excited about it.
I get to go way up north in the summer, which at this point is the only time that I want to go up north, but I'm feeling like they're going to win me over.
Fuck the South. I'm giving her an awkward side eye right now. Look, if the LP National Convention next year wasn't in Texas, never
Never go.
Never see that fucking place.
Well, I guess we lucked out.
Just fuck that whole place. For reals. So, how did you feel about this interview? I spring these interviews on Liz, and she's not as tied into things as I am because, she's busy making sure life works for us. Raising our kid because I'm a deadbeat.
You're definitely not a deadbeat.
So she doesn't always know the people we talk to.
No, this was fun though because it was like talking to you and then talking to like a different alternate universe version of you.
I think car. So I got bird on the brain because bird's on my list. We got to get that guy in here. And he's probably more ridiculous than me.
Yeah, I just, some of these interviews, I just kind of let you guys go and I hold on. Take the ride.
Hold your butts, kids.
Basically, yeah.
So, anyways, we'll stop talking about it. But here is our interview with Campit of the Friends Against Government podcast. Enjoy.
So.
Yeah. So what are we gonna call you? You're a Twitter personality, so you're an @ something.
You just wanna.
Oh yeah, you can just call me Car. It's fine.
Car.
Okay.
I like
that's what I go by on ours.
I liked you better when it was Christmas.
Christmas?
When it was, my what was it, cardigan?
Oh, Christmas car or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Christmas card. I like that.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. I was doing the cardigan festive for Thanksgiving.
Nice. Yeah, we're Christmas people here, so I'm always.
Yeah, I dig Christmas.
I'm endeared to people that are utilizing Christmas in any way.
To me.
Oh, no, absolutely. So, I mean, how did you personally find your way to this whole thing anyways?
Oh man, I was a Paulista back in 07.
Oh, wow.
08. Yeah. So I was in college, and I grew up. I would say that I was. Well, I would say I definitely was pretty apolitical. I always was. Everybody's the classic saying like I had a problem with authority, and I definitely did, but it wasn't like I was trying to thumb my nose at everybody necessarily. I just always felt like I could figure out my way, and with all the good and bad that comes with that, you make mistakes and all that shit. But I always felt like I can figure it out, and I don't really need somebody mandating the way that I should do it necessarily. And the first time I had heard the word libertarian, I had a buddy in high school who claimed to be a libertarian, and I just over time I noticed the fact that he would stump our history teachers and stump teachers in school, and I never really put two and two together, because at the end of the day I didn't give a shit at the time. I was into surfing and girls and like that. That was really the way that I operated my life.
Fucking normie.
What?
Come on, surfing school.
I said fucking normie over here.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't born in the Dungeons and Dragons like I was.
No, yeah. No, I got plenty of nerdy shit. I got my nerdy street cred. Trust me.
He's gonna say, "Oh, I played Magic for a while."
No, my nerdiness came in on the airwaves.
Nice.
I got my ham radio license when I was like 11.
Okay, take it back.
All right. Right on.
So that was how I expressed my nerdy inner self. But at the time, but anyway, I'd heard libertarian, and I knew that it was something because I remember my teachers being very frustrated with my buddy, and so I knew it was something. And then when Ron Paul came around, I was like, at the time, I don't know how you guys felt or whatever, but I was very anti-Bush just because of the Iraq War largely, and I don't claim to have known as much certainly then as I do now about it. But it just was, it was so obviously such a waste. And I saw Ron Paul going to the Republican primary debates and just like railing on it. I was like, my God, like this guy has got balls of steel. And so it just spurred me to, I'm sure my story is many my age that just really got into it at that time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little different than others. Like I said, being apolitical is probably actually a different thing, because most of the people I meet, like, oh no, I was definitely a neocon Republican, and then Ron Paul happened and I changed, which is always weird to me, because technically as a musician I would have described myself as a leftist, so I'm always fascinated by the the other side. So saying you're not really on any side is also unique.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come about to become this mega Twitter personality?
This mega Twitter, I don't know if I go that far, man.
You cracked a K, didn't you?
We pretty recently, but
I'm not there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Bird and I just kind of identify. Like, I don't know. I think that we both recognize that there was a little bit of a hole in the, like, let's not take ourselves so seriously kind of spectrum of libertarianism, and so we set about to just try.
Oh no, dude! Rollo told me about you guys, and immediately I'm like, that's the podcast I want to listen to. Like, I literally went there, downloaded it, and like, yep, these are my people. We're here.
Good.
This is what I've been waiting for. Well, literally you're doing what I like when we kind of set out with this. Like, well, I talk about music because that's the thing I know the most about. Kind of like Jake talks about wine. The real goal was just, I want to talk to people that we have like the same philosophical backing about just shit that's not philosophy. Tom Woods and Scott and those guys have that shit on lock. So
yeah. That's the at the end of the day. Like, I don't want to be like, I feel like I can give a pretty
but why the hell
round.
Who needs to?
What's that?
Why would you? Who needs to? They did all the ground.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It's like I would rather just be like a little bit goofy but a little bit serious, and maybe give just because that's how I am in life, like that. So I don't have to act, I don't have to, it's just like who I am, and I think that makes it for a more lasting podcast, because I never have to feel like I have to be like, oh my God, well now I've got to read a bunch of notes that I wrote over the course of the week. It doesn't feel like a chore. Like, it's always fun.
I'm not saying that I was bitter or anything when I discovered somebody doing what I wanted to do in a podcast and better, but you know.
No, I would echo what you're saying about you guys. Like, I wish that I had, like, you're obviously a very talented musician and you have a full understanding of music, and I'm musically inclined, but I never really like pursued it on that level. And so it's fun to tune in and listen to, again, somebody who's podcasting about that, and it's not necessarily just hammering the NAP and so on and so forth. So I think, like, every time I tune into you guys, it's fun for me, but it's also satisfying because I know somebody's filling that hole. Like that somebody is actually going out and saying, yes, we are liberty oriented, but also here's this cool shit, you know?
So do we have like a Liberty video games channel? Like
I think.
Yeah, I know. We've got to expand this empire, man. People, there's so much stuff to take over with a liberty bent that there's so much room. There's just we may not have enough libertarians yet, but hopefully, maybe as they say, Say's law, right? Like supply will create its own demand.
Frankly, that's the thing that I want to see happen the most. Is I don't like the way that the networks have kind of. I understand why they've positioned off the way that they have so far, but really, the way that this whole thing needs to move is we need to have more cohesive network. Branding. Like, while I love the Lions of Liberty and the Think Liberty networks, there's a certain degree to which, I like some shows on them and not other shows. And I think if you had more shows of a like-minded character, like, what is it, Dan Reed and Jake really need to get together and start like the food and wine, like just the food and wine Liberty
So you
network.
get like your HGTV on the
Yes,
Liberty
essentially
side,
you have like
kind
your
of.
HGTV of Liberty.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been really excited to see people like what we're doing, like where you just get different personalities coming on to different podcasts and you get to like see them mix it up. And I've really loved to see that there's like, I don't know, maybe probably almost 10 podcasts now that all routinely share hosts, or bring them on as guests. And I just think it's so fun. Like, I just think it's really interesting. I think it's a great way to introduce other people.
Yeah, I got to find out how the hell you guys get on other people's podcasts. I've hosted everybody in the world, and I'm like, I think I've been on 2.
Well, I don't.
I'm missing something.
We've been on. I feel like we've been on. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5.
I'm just saying, I keep hearing about you guys, and maybe it's just like I caught on to you when you guys caught peak critical mass. And it really took off. But I was like, I know that I've been listening to them on everybody else's fucking podcast since I started listening to them. So it's on the and then it extends into history in perpetuity for me. Like, this is not fucking everybody's podcast. What the hell is this bullshit? It's Bird's snarky demeanor, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah. He's a piece of work, man.
He is a fucking Twitter goldmine. Like, Twitter is my thing. I love Twitter so much.
You're so petty.
I am fucking petty. And he's
Bird.
You think I'm petty. Look at Bird.
Bird is so funny, man. Like, sometimes
Bird is second to Michael Malice, perhaps,
God,
but like
okay.
he was designed to make that sort of content.
All right.
I know.
That's
Yeah,
saying
he really
something.
was. He really was. Like,
You make a good
go
Jerry
ahead.
Lewis to him.
Oh, you're the straight man.
Or what is it? Good Dean Martin. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Carr is the Dean Martin of the FAGcast.
Nice.
Yeah. Shit. No, his Twitter content is often like, it's like, sometimes I hope that everybody appreciates it on the level that I do, because sometimes like I'm like, this is funny on like 16 different levels, and I hope that everybody gets it because it's insane.
Well, and I think that's probably the most like. I think one of the more interesting things about it is that you guys definitely have managed to create a mystique in that, like, I don't know any of you guys on Facebook. I've never seen or heard of you guys on Facebook. I know of you as just fucking ats. And,
oh yeah,
and it certainly helps to keep that branding like just very what it is. Like I think of you guys as those silly little fucking avatars.
Yeah. I like that. I don't think either. Well, I don't have Facebook.
I'm glad I didn't see your face actually when you called into the Zoom meeting. It would have ruined something for me to know.
Oh yeah.
I just saw his luxurious head of hair.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure.
I always keep my like webcam like pointed up because I'm paranoid about
Right, the
whatever
interwebs.
people like hacking in and,
Dude, have you ever
watching me pick my nose while I
Have
work.
you ever watched? Did you ever listen to the Nerdist podcast back in the day?
No, wait, what is it?
The Nerdist. It's Chris
Hardwick?
Chris Hardwick, the guy who used to be the host of, was it
some stupid MTV show?
Singled Out on MTV way back in the day. And like, I think The Nerdist was a show on like G4 network maybe
one of
back in
those
the day.
video game networks.
Regardless, all that is completely irrelevant to what I was getting at. So he had Alex Winter on, who you might know as
from The Musician?
No. Alex Winter, the director, who is also Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
He was the other guy. Well, he also directed a movie on the Silk Road.
Okay.
And he directed a movie about like privacy and shit. I didn't even know that one's come out yet. But like they made it a point, like Chris brought up in the interview that they had, that like he had all of his cameras fucking taped off on every one of his devices, and he only uses encrypted everything to talk. And you're like,
yeah, dude. I've like slowly gotten to that point. I actually made my New Year's resolution was to improve my security. That was my New Year's resolution this year, and I'm sure I just have like gaping holes in the security. And that was
one of the things he was actually pointing out. He's like, honestly, our generation is fucked because we got into this whole thing when that wasn't a thought.
Yeah.
So we'd given up all of our shit long before anybody even asked those questions. But the next generation, like the kids that are coming out of high school now, they're all real fucking concerned and interested in privacy. And so they're the ones that are like handling all of their shit. Like we were fucked probably 10 years ago. The shit that I gave away to
probably.
Just different stores ordering shit back in the early 2000s.
When it was like the Wild West and nobody...
Yeah, it's like first name, last name, like dick length, like everything.
Why did I need this information? I'm buying shoes.
Like, here it is. I mean, I don't know why you need it, but yeah, here it is.
Liz, that's how they determine what size shoe you wear.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's a really roundabout way, but it's
pulling up some shoes for me right now because I said it aloud.
What was it that I was
really targeted marketing?
I was looking for something today, and they literally pulled up.
Oh yeah, YouTube. Yeah, our kid was talking about a music video.
Yeah, so we have our daughter was asking my wife in the car yesterday to play if I could remember the song that we listened to on YouTube and like the stream of songs that we were listening to the night before. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. And so I get home from work and I'm just on my YouTube and I'm like, Irma, what was that song that you wanted to hear? And could you give me some information on it? And so she's kind of like giving what she can, describing the video to me. And I scroll down, sure enough, it pops up in the fucking feed.
What are you gonna do?
That's the convenience I fucking pay for.
With your privacy.
Whatever. I'm gonna be honest, I'll fucking give my privacy to any company that wants it.
I'll send you a dick pic if I don't have to scroll down for the video I want.
It'll just appear in your brain.
I'm a capitalist, man. That's what the whole fucking thing's about. Like, that's literally what it was about.
That guy comes around. He just keeps shouting that he's a capitalist and giving me dick pics. I have no idea what he wants.
I'm worried.
I just gave him a new pair of shoes. I have no idea what to do. It's the only way to get him to go away.
I mean, what's gonna happen is you're gonna be like having a shunt in your brain. So I'm gonna be in a little cabin in the woods.
We need to calm down. That is the first time I've actually fell out of my fucking chair in the studio laughing so fucking hard. Oh good God. But seriously, as long as those companies don't give it to the government, I don't fucking care. I'll give them whatever the fuck they want. That's my decision to do. The problem is, all those companies are giving that shit to the fucking government.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, anytime I like start to get like really paranoid, I always think of that what is it, that George Carlin meme where it's just like, I guess I'll die. Like,
yeah,
pretty much.
All right, guess I'll die.
Well, there's a degree to which it's not like the government isn't the most inept fucking thing on the planet, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah. They probably would have they probably would have ended up shooting me in my fucking sleep because they thought I was somebody else anyways.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true. There's just so much. It's just like at some point you just gotta be like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep. Hopefully I wake up tomorrow and we'll just fight through another day.
I'm not in a bag. My wife and daughter are here. Yeah. We're good.
It's kind of always been the thing, hasn't it?
It has.
Yep.
So, anyways, let's actually get to the music side of things. We have a second here. We have another one of those deadheads.
Oh snap!
Yep.
Well, you had your podcast. God damn it,
Brett Minot.
Yes, yeah, from School Sucks, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I listened to that. It was great. He fucking Slappy from Rollin' Slappy sent out a link to his. He had a tribute to this. God damn it.
Well, with him, CJ, and what's it called?
No, I think it was a solo, but it was with the dude from New York, John Taylor Gatto.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It was a tribute. It was a tribute to him, and at the end of that, it's got a like a children's chorus rendition of "Touch of Grey," and it's like,
yeah, and I remember that.
Fucking chopping onions in here, man! Like just tearjerk.
I'm not
crying. You're crying.
Do you listen to School Sucks at all?
I do every now and then, but it's not a staple.
The episode that you've got to go back and listen to is probably like maybe a month or two ago, and it was him, CJ Kilmer, and I can't remember the third dude's name, but they were doing a round table talking about like the big picture of all that of education in America, and they got into a bit of the history and like how progressivism and all that and industry all ties into it. Dude, it is just a big fucking mind melt. And like, because they're using all these resources and you're like, they're books that you could go and find. Like all this shit is out in the public and open and no one cares.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
That's why they did this. They said it. They right there. That's exactly what they were saying they wanted to do. And then
Is that the one?
no, that's a different episode. That's a good episode though. Yeah, we got to get Prof. CJ on too. I sent a message out to him. I should probably follow up. I know he's been busy.
Yeah. I think we've got him at some point here soon. I don't know if I should publicly announce that, but I think we've been like kind of working back and forth with him. So I think our next one should be him. I think.
Nice.
See, I'm always like weird about finding guests because like you never know who like. It's tough to get people interested in it. Like, I know I mentioned it in the School Sucks episode that, like, I've only been turned down by 2 people. One of them was Scott Horton. And that one hurt a little bit because Scott was one I really wanted to talk to. Him, Tom Woods, and Brett Venant. I'll get Tom Woods on. Tom tried to give me the cold shoulder. He's like, who wants to listen to that? I'm like, well, obviously me. I'm the one that hosts a show about libertarians and music. Well, no,
we like see it's weird because like a lot of times we don't branch out all that. We have like a stable of 4 or 5 people that are just basically our friends at this point that we're like we could go out and like explore new realms of libertarianism, or we could just bring one of our friends on and talk about Sasquatch again, and like let's do that.
Which
well, I mean, if it isn't pro.
Which, for the record, I love. Like, the cryptid thing is totally my thing. Do you remember that, like, TV show they used to have on the Cartoon Network that was all cryptids all the time?
No.
There was a family of superhero kind of, they weren't superheroes, they were cryptid hunters. That's literally what they did, and it was awesome.
I do not remember that.
It was kind of like Johnny Quest and cryptids all smashed together.
Wow.
I'll have to get you a link.
Yeah, link that to me.
I cannot remember what the hell it was. The kid had like
I'm looking it up.
Skunky hair. But anyways,
what era?
Secret Saturdays.
Like what years?
Secret Saturdays.
The Secret Saturdays. That's what it was.
Snap.
When was that?
When's it say in there? Probably circa
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. So recently.
I mean, that's almost a decade ago, bro.
We're old.
Shit.
Yeah, I know. Believe me. When I think about the fact, like, I've been out of college for over a decade at this point. Almost a decade and a half.
Yeah. God.
I'm an old fucking man.
What are you gonna do?
No gray. I still have some of my hair.
Man, I've been getting some like white hairs on the sides, and I've been denying it, but I think I've got to eventually just like kind of.
I would fucking kill to get gray or white.
Just own that shit.
I would love it because I know what I'm going to get instead.
Oh, I see.
What is that?
It's going to just go away.
Oh.
I could rock salt and pepper. Like, I can do that shit.
As long as it's still on your head.
Yeah, if it's there, I'll have a fucking white mohawk. It'll be sweet. It's that whole lack of hair on the top of my fucking head. I'm not going to look good with a skullet.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Just go Picard on it.
All right. So, as we're saying, we got ourselves a deadhead here.
Yeah.
What other kind of music do you like, or is that literally as deep as it goes? You know, I had a friend who once said,
what do you need?
I had a friend who would ask him what kind of music you like, and he's like, Megadeth. And he's like, I'm like, what else? And he's like, just Megadeth.
Just Megadeth. No, man, I've got quite a good bit of music that I like. I'm not like some people just seem to be able to put on anything and enjoy it, and I'm definitely not like that. But I would say
he's like, I like my morning jacket too.
Wait, what?
He's like, I like my morning jacket and the Grateful Dead. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, right. Britney Spears and Jerry Garcia.
In that same vein, you want to hear a real funny joke? Is in high school, I had a mixed cassette, and I alternated Bad Religion and Christina Aguilera the entire cassette. I'm a strange fucking guy, let me tell you. Complicated, that's the word.
No, man, I like. So it's interesting. I like the Grateful Dead. Well, I love the Grateful Dead, but I'm not a big jam band guy.
Huh.
I don't typically like jam bands that much.
That's a purity thing, though, because all other jam bands aren't as good as the Grateful Dead. I know how this works.
It might be. Like, I can get down with Fish. A lot of times I'm not as eager to hang out with Fish fans as I am with Grateful Dead fans. But that's not like an absolute statement, but something that I've noticed. Although I can get down with Fish. I like them. But by and large, yeah. And it's not even just like a purity, like there's nobody like I do believe there's nobody like the Grateful Dead, but it's not even like a almost a better or worse thing. I just don't enjoy other jam bands. Like I like the Dead. And maybe I think part of it is that you just start to get attached to all the different players in the band.
Yeah.
And you know their stories and all that. And like, it just enriches the experience to the point where maybe you can't experience it with another jam band.
So how do you feel about them now that they tour with John Mayer when they decide to do anything?
Yeah, so I've seen it. I've seen them, and here's the thing, right? Is that the Grateful Dead, and I know that this is going to sound like really like airy fairy kind of, but like the Grateful Dead really is an experience and it's a community. Even maybe more so than it is the music.
Spoken like a fucking deadhead.
Yeah, right. I know, and it sounds, I understand how it sounds.
Oh no, I know. I actually, as I mentioned in the Brett episode, my kid's godfather is a deadhead. So
yeah,
you guys fascinate me. Like you're a cryptid in my world. Just so
right, yeah. So I'll say, so I went and saw the Dead up at the Gorge in Washington State last summer. Actually, with my friend from college who got me really into the Dead. So he lives in Seattle at this point, and so we went and saw him. And I actually have tickets to see him down here in Dallas this summer too. And I may actually go back to the Gorge again, but we'll see what the travel budget looks like. But when you get that many Deadheads together, it really is. It's like I obviously John Mayer is not Jerry Garcia, and obviously John Mayer has some baggage that he brings with him that maybe isn't quite compliant with the overarching Grateful Dead culture. But just the fact that he is willing to do it, they're willing to have him, and then they recreate that experience and give Deadheads just a little bit more content, I think is net good, and I support.
Okay, now here's the question I got on that. Do you think that is a fundamentally true statement, or do you feel like that's kind of like the whole Kobe Michael Jordan debate, where if this was 20 years, if John Mayer had been famous 20 years before he was, and we knew less about the man than we do you think that that would feel different than it does? In much the same way, if we didn't know every fucking thing we know about Kobe Bryant, like he could be Jordan. Like, do we know too much about the people to separate them from their craft?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be.
I know so much of the baggage comes from like the personal stuff.
Right. And for me, I mean, to be completely honest, like I mean, John Mayer could die tomorrow, and I would have no idea unless somebody told me. Like, I just am not a news junkie. Really, I'm not. I have no idea what's happening in like culture and society. Like, I think to Bird's endless frustration, like, because he has to explain everything to me. But I don't carry that baggage. I just note it for like other Dead fans. Like, I understand why they might be frustrated, but for me, it's just to do with the guitar. Like, I kind of don't care.
Personally, and like from what I've listened to, he does a hell of a job at really trying to not necessarily be Jerry, but give the Jerry feel to the music. Yeah,
I mean, the show was great. I mean, it really was. It was a great show. I had a great time. And so, I don't really have any problems with it.
On that tip, what is the best show you've been to? You've seen?
That one, the Gorge, the Dead of the Gorge last year. It was the best.
Is it just because that was the only chance you were going to get to see the Dead in your lifetime?
Well, I've seen various parts of the Dead. I almost saw the Dead in 2003. Or no, sorry, geez, no, 2006 or something like that. But I couldn't get a ride. But yeah,
at that point, or was they just playing?
It was the Dead. It was the Dead at that point. So when Jerry died, they started touring as just the Dead. It wasn't the Grateful Dead. It was the Dead. And that was still during that incarnation. I think they toured as just the Dead until, probably damn near 2010. It was throughout college, and I almost saw him up at University of Virginia. And then I just didn't. It was just money, I think, at that point. And then, yeah. Oh, I totally forgot what I was answering. But I would say that's probably my favorite single show, and then my favorite musical experience in terms of just. I think part of it was length of time. Was Telluride Bluegrass Festival in Colorado.
Ooh,
was probably
fun. Just because you're in Telluride.
Yeah, that was. What's that?
Is it just because you're in Telluride?
I mean, part of it, man. Part of it, but that whole thing, that festival is just fantastic. Like, I would recommend it for anybody, even if you don't like bluegrass. Like, it's just a great time.
I mean, a festival atmosphere is a festival atmosphere, and like they all put a lot of money into milking the shit out of those atmospheres.
And I do love me some bluegrass, so that works.
Yeah, I like listening to the vocals, the harmonies, and all that stuff. The banjo.
Yeah.
Everything else sucks about it, though. I'm joking. I'm always fascinated because, like, when I talk to people that are into quote-unquote jam bands, and then my buddy Irma's godfather, like, me and him will get into the discussion about, well, to me, all jam bands fundamentally sound the same. There is a way that they're recorded and a way that the music works and functions. That there's a through line on all of it. Like, I can hear it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's a jam band. And you can distinctly tell that from a different type of band. Now, granted, they all have their own little quirks and things that they bring to it. You know, obviously, Fish gets more into the funk. The Dead definitely gets more into the bluegrass and like roots rock kind of stuff than Fish would. Or what's their the other guys? The big one now. They get the one that gets into like the more metal-y kind of stuff.
Like Widespread or something?
No, Widespread. Actually, I like Widespread. I don't. In their one, I don't really even think that much of it as a jam band, but I know that they are. See, that's the thing. There's jam bands and there's bands that are in the community, which is another thing.
Right.
Because Primus is not a jam band, but they're part of the community.
I love
now.
Primus. God, I love Primus.
I enjoy Primus.
Yeah.
I enjoy them less now. Oh, Humphreys McGee. That's who I was thinking of.
Humphreys, yeah.
There's people that love them, and like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like,
I don't either. I don't like them.
To me, like, there's something about like rock music, especially the kind of they do. Like, it can't be jammed. It has to like emote in a certain way. And I think to me that's jam bands don't really emote to me. What they do is they exhibit a great amount of skill, but you know, it's kind of like jerking off.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying.
And don't get me wrong, like it's amazing to watch like someone who's incredible at that do it. But I always come back to the line. You ever watch the movie The Commitments?
No.
It's about an Irish soul band in the 90s in Ireland, and they're all white people, so it's really funny. But the one guy looks over, their sax player like starts out, buys a sax and joins the band not knowing how to play, and then like learns. But by the end of his character arc, he like is getting into jazz and wanting to experiment and do shit like that. And they're sitting at a urinal like getting into an argument about it, and they're talking. He's like, well, he's like soul solos. They're, you know, they've got corners and they're real pertinent to the song. He's like, jazz solos are just fucking spiraling. He's like, it's musical masturbation. He's like, you want to wank? Use that thing in your hand.
No, I agree actually 100%. I think that's why I don't like a lot of jam bands. And like I said, I think part of the reason that I really like the Dead is that you do get involved in those storylines. And like one of the major storylines, especially with the later Dead, is the relationship between Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia, where Jerry Garcia was really he was spiraling down the depths of a heroin addiction, and Robert Hunter, you know, was
what a point in your
almost,
life to do it, by the way.
What's that?
What a time in your life to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Most people do that shit in their 20s. Who doesn't?
Well, I think he was doing it then too.
He just kept it for a couple decades.
Yeah, I think it was an on again, off again battle. But you know, in the later age, his body wasn't able to hold up, and you know, Robert Hunter was in some sense speaking to Jerry through the lyrics, because Robert Hunter was, as you probably know, I mean, he's the only guy to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame who never appeared with the band. And so he was the lyricist for the band. I mean, now granted they all wrote, but he wrote so much for that band, and especially some of the late songs. It's Robert Hunter is essentially pleading with Jerry to try to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you hear it, and it's like, oh man, it's like it's just heart-wrenching, man. And that's just one storyline. There's like many, and it's all, I don't know, it's just like a whole thing. It's like it's almost like a fucking daytime drama that plays out over the course of 3 decades, but there's also great music,
Yeah. Well, there's a point of note for the listeners. Another relationship like that people don't probably think about. Maybe they think about it more because of the way that it played out. But it wasn't that the kind of the situation with Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds, was that Tim was like the guy that Dave wrote songs with. And so
I have no idea. I'm not a Dave guy.
But yeah, basically he had a guy he wrote songs with and that like helped him create all the big ones. But he wasn't actually in the band. It was just the guy that he wrote songs with.
Yeah.
And so I think that they actually went out and did like acoustic shows together, the two of them. I know you're going to see Dave and Tim on there. I just don't know if that's the story necessarily. Interesting. So let's see here.
But you asked what other kind of bands?
Yeah, that's
or what other kind of music?
Absolutely.
I would say. So I really like Primus. I love the Beastie Boys.
You and Bob Murphy
I would say my
comment for the record.
Yeah, I know. Bob Murphy did?
Bob Murphy came on the show and he talked mostly about musicals, the Beatles, and the Beastie Boys.
That's funny. I don't really like the Beatles all that. I mean, the Beatles are the Beatles.
I think they're overrated. I think they stole. Yeah. I think they stole a lot from the Grateful Dead, to be honest.
Well, yeah, certainly later. Yeah, for sure. But no, I'll listen to the Beatles and enjoy them. I do think that they're a little bit overrated. But culturally, they had a pretty huge impact.
That being said, I like Wings a lot more than I like the Beatles.
You remember, what is that movie? Fuck, what movie is that? Where they come up with that Wings song.
I have no idea. This sounds amazing. Whatever.
Role models.
Oh God.
I haven't watched that.
He's like, "Love, take me down to the streets," or something like that. And he's like, "Is that Wings?" He's like, "Nah, I don't think that's Wings." and it turns out it was like a Wings cover band that came up with the song just for the movie. And the running joke is like he sings it, and like one guy thinks it's Wings, and one guy's like, "I don't think that's a Wings song." Anyway,
Paul McCartney wrote a lot of fucking material, so who knows?
Yeah,
it could have been buried in there. You could tell me it was, and I'd believe you.
Right? Yeah. Me too. I would have never known. But dude, the band that I love, that I really, really love, is the Talking Heads.
Good stuff.
Who are they?
Really?
Dude, that's like.
Didn't he like officially come out as autistic like a couple years ago?
Who? Yeah, Dave Byrne.
Did he really need to?
I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, no. They knew he was had Asperger's for his entire career, as far as I know.
Yeah, but it just made sense.
What is that movie? There's a.
Stop Making Sense?
No. Actually, it was a couple years ago, and he was a part of it. Like it was based off of that one song of theirs. This Must Be the Place.
Oh. Yeah.
And there's a really
Sean Penn.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was an interesting movie, and I really do dig that song. And they had a really interesting orchestral version of the song for that movie.
Yeah, I mean, even that song as they originally wrote it was fairly. There's woodwinds and there's.
What are your thoughts on MGMT's cover of it?
I don't know if I've heard of it.
I mean, I'd be honest. I think it's just a video of them playing at college, and it was terrible.
Okay.
Oh, was it really bad?
I'm going to be honest. The way that I like that song, I don't know that they could have done it justice. I'm not a big MGMT fan either.
Okay, yeah. I mean, their hits were kind of coming out like right when they were busting onto the scene was when I was probably, I guess I was in college, and I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was, it was good. I never thought it was like really like depthy music or anything like that, but it was catchy.
You could do some drugs to it. Like that's what I like about it.
Right.
Let's drop some acid and see what happens.
Yeah.
Although those guys are probably doing a lot of E.
I would assume.
Take a guess based on Electric Feel.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I would assume, yeah. I would assume that was a pretty big part of the recipe.
Right on.
So interesting. I mean, I don't know. We've had anybody talk about Talking Heads yet, so that's cool.
Dude,
And then one of those
I have
bands I
like,
think you either do really love or you don't get.
yep, because they're weird.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really weird, and they have a lot of different faces. Like if you look at like, album to album they can be very different. Like 77, their original, their first album is very nervous and like very anxious and like high key.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at like what is it? Little Creatures, where it's a completely different feel. The entire album, and then like Speaking in Tongues and stuff like that. They almost don't have two albums in succession.
I don't think Byrne could have done that. Like because he is one of those guys that's always reaching for something.
Right. Yeah, he kind of is. And I even like his solo work, to be honest. A lot of that was really cool. Maybe less. There's something about the three of them that brings like a really cool element that is lost when it's just Dave Byrne solo.
Like Weezer?
What's that?
Like Weezer?
Oh, did one of them go off solo?
Well, actually, yeah. Matt Sharp's amazing, and he also has a band called The Rentals that are amazing. But what's funny is that they'll like swear up and down. Like the first two Weezer albums were made with Matt Sharp, the original bass player, and then he left the band to do other stuff. But they always swear, oh well, he didn't have anything to do with the band. Like, I mean, he played, but like he wasn't part of the songwriting. Like he was just there. But coincidentally, those are the two best albums.
Oh,
So it's like, I mean, you could say he didn't, but sometimes the cook just the guiding the kitchen maybe is, just watching everything else happen is. It's that thing like just watching something changes how it happens, and that is like an actual scientific principle.
Yep. Observing it. Yeah.
Yep. Observation changes results.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got super into Weezer. A lot of people did. I remember that in high school, but I never really got into them. I like them, but I never got super.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about how the Pinkerton album, which is their second album, is ingrained in my head that anytime I hear one of those songs, I think about Wave Race 64. Because I used to just hang out with my buddy Docky's house and
Real specific.
we'd play fucking Nintendo 64 and listen to Weezer.
Dude, that was the era, man.
It was an era.
That was.
Okay, so now obviously you've got some interesting music. How about the memories attached to music? Do you have some fun ones there? You've obviously been to some really cool shows, so that can't count against it.
Memories attached.
If nothing else, what song did you lose your virginity to?
I don't think I was listening to music, but
What are these people that fuck without listening to music?
Honey, you everything you do is to music. That's not.
Yeah,
normal.
I know, but like you'd think that would have to be.
It's distracting for some people.
I've got one memory that's like burned into my mind, and that was. Let's see. I was driving. So I grew up in North Carolina, and me and my friends did a fair amount of surfing, and we would, kind of drive up and down the coast when we had off time. And I was driving. I don't even remember where I was, but I was out in the middle of nowhere, maybe on the Outer Banks. I can't remember. But I was driving through, like at night. It was, I think we had surfed that day, and we were driving to the next place, and it was just a horrible thunderstorm, like really, really bad, driving rain, lightning strikes, and all that. And I was alone, and I was listening to Pink Floyd, and it was Momentary Lapse of Reason, the entire album. And I just remember driving and just this I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and so
thank you for not bringing up a fucking stock one. God.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I'm an Animals guy, but
that's the correct answer. I mean, that's the best album.
And there's people that have never fucking heard it, have no idea what it is. And
oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, that album.
Dark Side of the Moon and the Wall, right? Those were their albums.
No, I think Animals and Momentary Lapse of Reason, probably Momentary Lapse of Reason largely because of my association with this memory, but those two are my favorite. But then I go back and I listen to Dark Side and I listen to The Wall and I'm like, God damn, these are great albums. You know?
I love Dark Side, don't get me wrong. And The Wall has moments that I love. Young Lust is probably one of my favorite rock, just straight ahead rock songs.
Yeah.
I think it's that one just suffers at how overplayed it was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right. Oh man, and Wish You Were Here. God damn, that was a great album. I think, anyway.
Oh no, it's a good one. And for all the reasons that like not the songs that people would think about it. Wish You Were Here is probably my least favorite song on that record.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean the like Shine On is incredible.
Does it Have a Cigar is open that one up, doesn't it?
Oh, no. I think, doesn't it open with Shine On You Crazy Diamond and then it goes into
which parts? Because there's two parts of Shine.
Right, doesn't it open and close with them?
Yeah, maybe. I guess I'm thinking it opens with it because, like, to me, like, was it parts 1 through 6? I think it is, or is it 1 through? I can't remember exactly where the numbers split, but like the first half is very, very atmospheric. I don't really think of it as even a song. It's just what it is.
Yeah. I thought maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it.
Shine On You Crazy Diamond is first.
Which parts?
What's up?
Which parts? Oh God, there's parts. The love of Pete.
I thought there were only 2 parts to Shine On.
I think there's 2 parts.
Well, no, it's broken up into 2 pieces, but like I want to say is like there's actual numbers that are like 1 through 6 and then 9 through 13, but they're 2 parts.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, like thematically, like it's broken up.
Yeah, parts 1 through 5.
Yeah, I can remember it was 5 or 6.
Yeah. And then 6 through
which to me is also it's like
9 or something.
If there was anything more Pink Floyd, I can't think of it. The idea of just breaking your fucking it's 2 songs, but let's break it up into a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Shine On You Crazy Diamond parts 1 through 5 and then 9 through 16 and
yeah.
That is Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, that's why.
Well, but it's probably because that song, when it was originally conceived, was like a 50-minute long piece of music.
Right.
It moved and did all these changes, and they took out this section and that section and add this one.
Yeah. I can't even imagine being in the studio with those guys when they were trying to come up with that album.
Have you ever seen any of the video footage of that shit?
Of them recording Wish You Were Here?
Is it Dark Side of the Moon, I think, is the one that they have like a bunch of footage on. Like there was a documentary, I think, on just the making of that album, and it's intense.
No, I'll have to check that out. I've seen the movie The Wall, and I've seen Live at Pompeii, but I don't know if I've ever seen any like making of videos, which would be really interesting to watch.
There's a bunch of shit you can find on Pink Floyd because like. I mean, at the time that they were doing that shit, they were a big enough band that like film crews just kind of happened to be around to document shit. I'm sorry, I interject. I get ideas in my head and I follow. Where were we going with this memory?
I have no idea, man. We're off the rails. We can go anywhere. We can go.
What was the memory again? What was the
He's driving up the coast.
Just driving through a thunderstorm, listening to Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Right.
And that's a really interesting fucking album for a thunderstorm.
It really is, man. It wouldn't have been the same.
Describe to me the clouds in this. I want to visualize this. On the coast.
Oh, the cloud, dude. No, you're talking pitch black. We're talking pitch black, driving rain, and flashes of lightning, and you're just praying you're on the road.
Is this like pitch black? Is this at nighttime or daytime?
No, it was probably midnight.
All right. So I have this a photo I'll send to you because like I get this image. Like I'm picturing a different moment than you had. But there's this storm that came over like up here in Cleveland where I live probably 2 years ago, and I fucking snapped a picture while I was driving, and the reason I had to do it is because we're talking fucking 2:00 in the afternoon, and the sky is fucking pitch black. The clouds, like you look up and you're looking at obsidian rock just sitting up in the fucking sky, and it wouldn't have been as strange, but you could see where the clouds ended off on the horizon, and it's a fucking blue sky. But it was far enough out, you're just like, what in the world is up there going on right now?
Right.
And it got so dark so fast.
Yeah. Where was it?
I don't even know that it was raining or anything. It just got black.
Is that up on the shoreway?
No, actually, I think I was on the shore when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is
not about lake.
We're up here in Cleveland, so.
No.
We live off of a lake too, which causes some goofy weather.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, is Cleveland right on the lake?
Oh yeah.
I mean, where we are, yeah.
I mean, I can
where I live, I couldn't walk there, but a couple streets over, I probably could walk there.
Yeah, it's pretty
In fact, I probably could walk there from here. I would just be
tired when you get
very tired. It would be not a.
Do you guys like play in the lake at all? Like, is it open for? Is that a thing?
I mean, people do. People attempt to surf on it. It's ridiculous. They have to use like paddles and giant foam boards and. Your story
Well,
made me sad for a minute,
there used to
but-
be a surf competition that I always wanted to make it to, but they shut it down in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was called like the
Sheboygan.
Dairy Classic or something.
Yeah,
like
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and it was like a big like longboarding festival up there, and I always wanted to go to it, but I think they shut it down like 2 years ago.
Longboarding.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way you can do it. You have to have a giant foam board and sometimes a paddle, and like you can kind of make some waves, but it's just not the
then
same.
why don't you just use a longboard and have somebody with a nice concrete piece? See, that was always my favorite thing. I take like the actual like rolling longboards, so we're clear. Like I used to go up to Prescott Park in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's like a 13-mile long peninsula, but it's got enough of a up and down grade on the walkways to the park that it's like, you know, you get stoned and fucking go out and kick, and you can have a good time. Like it's wide enough you can kind of fucking meander back and forth and cut real nice on it. It's a very relaxing time. But I've never been a surfer though, so it's probably disgusting to you guys.
I used to longboard occasionally, like land longboard occasionally, but I was always. I mean, I'm a longboarder in terms of surfing. Yeah, typically.
That I have to be in the water, and the water is tall, and I don't like tall things.
Yeah. Well,
people are always confused by that. Look, I don't care what.
Are you talking about the actual depth of the water?
Yes.
Yeah.
The depth of water freaks me out. Like.
Yeah, I guess you gotta.
Aside from the fact that I'm into cryptids and there's definitely sea monsters down there.
Dude, there might be, man.
No, there's not a might be. There definitely is. Like, who did you guys have on your show? Like, I can't remember who it was. Was it Paz? And he was talking about that sound. Like the. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Getting intense there for a minute. All right.
Well, I think he called it the hum. It depends. Like there's different names for it depending on who you ask and like what type of circle they're in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of weird shit. Like there's that sound that comes from like the center of the ocean, and they've heard it in different places.
Yeah,
and it's organic, but the size of what it would have to be like 10 times the size of a fucking whale. Like nothing could possibly make it. The only way you can even hear the sound is that they speed it up like 100 times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
dude. I mean, there's a lot of weird shit out there, man. I think. And,
well, we know more about fucking space than we do our own oceans, just because it's so impossible to get to some of the fucking places.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, the Great Lakes are big.
Well, and they're deeper than people think they are too.
Yeah.
Like
I mean.
If you wanted to go treasure hunting, you could fucking do it. It would take you forever, and you could find so much shit, but nobody does it because it's just they're too fucking big.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're over like 300 feet deep, right?
It depends where you are. I want to say a lot of it is 200, but I think it does get to like almost 500 at places.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's really really freaking deep for a freshwater lake.
Yeah. I mean, the one I grew up with was like 50 or 60 feet deep, and that was like.
Yeah, even that's deep as shit, man. Yeah. That's really deep.
I mean, for a human, yeah.
Well, and what's crazy, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, I used to camp on a reservoir, and so even something that's like 50 or 60 feet deep, like they used to empty, like the reservoir Kinzu used to empty out, and so you can go and you'll see all the shit that is growing alive on the bottom during like the winter months. And let's just say, just seeing what's under there, like that would be considered normal shit.
Yeah.
You don't want to think about what could be under there and something that's like as giant as a fucking ocean that you only know 5%.
Are you talking about plant life or what?
Dude, plant life, fucking just the animals that you'll see under there, like the just normal fish life in a normal lake is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
And that shit's just waiting
down there to
fucking nibble you. And they're not even krakens or fucking...
Well, not only that, but there's something, and this is like counterintuitive, but there's something that creeps me out more about freshwater than saltwater.
Huh.
I don't know why that is.
That's an interesting thing. I don't know that it seems inherently odd to me, though. It's just not something I would have ever made a distinction on. For me, honestly, for me, aside from that, there's the fact that like I'm afraid of heights, and it doesn't matter if it's air or water. Me not being on dry land is a frightening thing entirely.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I have plenty of reasons to stay the fuck away from the ocean.
There you go.
I'm definitely not like that. I really like the ocean. I like.
Maybe I've read too many Cthulhu books. I don't know.
Well, there's that whole thing about cephalopods being immortal, possibly. Kind of.
That's also weird.
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, they never die.
Are you talking about like the theoretical lifespan of like lobsters and stuff?
Like squid, more like squid, jellyfish, those kind of creatures.
Things that actually regenerate and perhaps don't ever die because they don't have to.
Yeah. Promise me you will never die.
All right.
So, yeah, anyways.
Are we up to the big one?
We got to be getting close.
Yeah, okay.
This has been too much fun. There's been too much ridiculous shit to talk about.
So the big question that we like to ask is, what 5 albums would you have people go out and listen to? They don't necessarily have to be your favorite albums, just albums you think that people need to like have the experience of having listened to.
Disclaimer, mine are different every 5 minutes. You ask me this question now versus 10 minutes from now, they will not be the same.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll start out. I think I'll start out with The Dead. I think just really getting into Terrapin. That's a really cool album. If you're not now, maybe that's not the greatest album if you're not really into The Dead. Maybe it'd be like
okay.
I'm going to talk myself into and out of 100 albums
That's
right now.
Okay.
For Talking Heads, I think 77. That would be. You should go out and listen to that.
Why that one?
I think that there is. I think that is the fundamental starting point to understand where they went creatively with the other albums.
Okay.
Like, I don't think if you listen to Little Creatures that you're going to go and listen to like Speaking in Tongues and it makes sense. And if you listen to 77, it gives you the frame of reference to then go on and appreciate the other albums.
Right on.
For Beastie Boys, it's Paul's Boutique. That's the greatest Beastie Boys album. Yeah. It's just an incredible album. It's their best work. I don't care what anybody says.
And
that is the
very few people know about that album.
Yeah, I know. Weirdly, I mean, people know some of the songs on it, but dude, that from cover to cover, that thing is incredible, and it's awesome.
It's very artistic. Also, like I think that they kind of outdid themselves on that side of it, which might have made it less accessible than some of the more, hip hop that they did.
Right. No, for sure. It's a little bit less accessible than like License to Ill, but it's better.
When you dig in there, it's a piece of art.
It's nice. Let me think. I don't know. Who else did I say I liked? Probably, let's see. I got to pick something from the band. Maybe music from Big Pink.
Okay.
Nice. I like the band.
You don't get a lot of the band.
And then I feel like I got to run the gamut here. Let's see. Oh, you know what other band? I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about this, but I love Dispatch, and Gut the Van, volumes 1 and 2 is incredible.
Really? Dispatch? Yeah. That's where he's going to leave things.
Dude, I've seen Dispatch like 6 times.
I remember them vaguely from college. Like they were one of those bands that played festivals, and I never quite got it. I don't know, like Mo or.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't like Mo.
But I don't even know that they're anything like them. I just in my head they have this place to like early 2000s. Yep. Festival band.
Yeah, they're that's why I prefaced it with I don't give a shit and just being very confrontational about it right up front. As I feel like it's necessary when I say I like confrontation. I love Dispatch, man.
Hey man, you own your shit. I love all kinds of terrible music.
Oh, they just have an album.
And I'm completely like I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about my terrible taste.
Dude, I think I will bump Dispatch up to the front of that line because all of those other bands that I mentioned have street cred and people can appreciate them for what they are. But I will bump Dispatch, go out and listen to Gut the Van. And that is a really cool live album, a bunch of content on there because it's 2 volumes. And it's them really, in my opinion, at their musical peak and just really, really fun.
Out of curiosity, are you a fan of like RX Bandits at all?
I know of them, but I couldn't say I know them.
Yeah, I would see you getting into them. They're kind of like surfy ska prog.
Okay. Well, actually, now that you're talking about that, like surf, kind of like surf ska-ish revival that happened in the 90s and early 2000s.
I miss it
like a lot. Of the bands that came out of that were really, really cool. Like Banner Astro Man, the guys that did
ages.
Yeah, dude, and they did the intro to MST 3000.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a band that I really love. They're local. I don't know how popular they are outside of North Carolina, but Southern Culture on the Skids. Scots is what most people know them by.
No, they're great.
Dude, I love Scots, man. That is a really, really fun band. And a lot of times I'll just, like, especially on Sundays when I get up, make some coffee and making eggs, I'll just bring up a YouTube of just some random Scots song, live and just let it play. Because it's just great song after great song. It's so much energy. It's so fun.
Yeah, I haven't listened to them in a while. Maybe I should put them in the rotation.
The thing with them is that their recorded stuff is shit. And I mean, I'm not saying that like a lot of people say that the Dead, like the Grateful Dead's recorded stuff is shit.
Leave it to the Deadhead to say, you gotta listen to
No, because I will legitimately sit down and enjoy listening to Working Man's Dead cover to cover or Terrapin Station cover to cover. I will listen to it and I will love it. The Southern Culture on the Skids is the Dead to the nth degree in that way. Like their recorded stuff is just energyless and no good, and their live stuff is incredible.
And in the exact opposite fashion, I'll say, like, honestly, with Fish, I'd prefer to listen to the album cuts.
I actually do too. I do too. I really like Fish's albums. I don't like them live all that much.
I like them live, but I just like their first album or whatever the fuck it was. Not the
which one is that?
A Picture of Nectar. I really love A Picture of Nectar. It's so funky and like,
yeah.
I don't know. Their albums, their albums got kind of boring for a long while to me.
Yeah. Oh, here's one more. Speaking of local music, what's the album name?
Is this your band?
My band. Yeah, yeah. It's a fag band. It's just 56 episodes of shit. No. Back in North Carolina, the Mountain Goats.
Oh, everyone loves the Mountain Goats,
dude. They're awesome, and that one album is really incredible. What is it?
It wasn't.
I always want to say.
Who did we have on? Was it? Oh, we had Mason on. I think he was actually talking about the Mountain Goats on his last thing, wasn't he?
Mason from Tasting Anarchy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I never talked about that. I've never really spoken as much with Mason. I usually talk with Jake. But
and Mason was actually surprisingly like. He was different to talk to than Jake for sure, but he was also, they both have very, very interesting musical tastes, especially between them. Like if you put them next to each other, like you're an odd couple.
Yeah.
I like this.
Well, it works.
I didn't know that.
Trying to steal my wife and like get her to change religions and shit.
Dude, Jake's working on me being a Quaker, man. I swear I'm coming around.
Oh my! Literally, we got off that. She's like, I don't know. I kind of liked what he was talking about there.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm just saying.
For as much as any worshiping of Sky Daddy makes sense, there's that.
Yes, I know, babe. I know.
Oh goodness.
Plugs.
Well, I did have one more question.
Okay.
And this is for me and Mr. Sue.
Okay.
So I need you to pick a few Grateful Dead tunes that you really gravitate towards. Because we have to do the Ode to the Road Toad for your new theme music, and I'm gonna have to do it in the style of a Grateful Dead song. So I need to know what I'm modeling it after, because I know that
you want
the
me
idea of the Road Toad is going to piss you off. But if I can make it real deadly, then maybe you'll get into it.
So the mission is Grateful Dead jams that I really love.
Yeah, what are the ones that really hit you? I know my favorite song by them is actually "Eyes of the World," but
Yeah, that's a great one. Oh man, so it changes so much, and I've been working my way through their catalog recently with my buddy actually that lives out in Seattle. We have like a shared Excel spreadsheet, and we're listening to every Grateful Dead show that's available.
I was gonna say he's working through their catalog, and I'm like, you're a terrible Dead fan. No, Dead people don't listen to their albums; they listen to the live cuts. They throw their shitty albums out.
Yeah, so we're listening to every live show that's available, and so right now I'm like late '68, early '69, and I've heard Viola Lee Blues so many times that I can't get it out of my head because at that point their catalog was pretty limited, and that was probably what I'm coming to find out. That was probably their best jam. I'm sure that's a loaded statement to all the Deadheads that are listening to this, but one of their best jams, like early on, was these Viola Lee Blues jams, and man, I really like that.
How do you feel about the fact that like they have a culture that was just so into that music that you're literally going back and listening to performances en masse of this fucking group from that's 70 years ago now?
Yeah, dude.
Not quite that long, but it's got to be pushing 60, isn't it? You're in the 60s.
Oh yeah, I mean,
oof, Jesus.
50. Yeah, damn near. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and not only that, but like at that time, they like a lot of bands, they were covering a lot of stuff. Like Viola Lee Blues is a cover, and a lot of the songs that they were. Yeah. No. They did. I'm saying more that the songs that they were playing in the 60s were at times 10, 20, 30 years old. Some of them are old, and I'm sure, a lot of people go back and play like,
well,
Irish
they did so much Buddy Holly back in the day too.
Yeah. And so at any rate, like,
but for the record, I had no idea that Don't Fade Away was actually a fucking Buddy Holly song.
Yeah, dude.
I just, to me, it was a Dead song. Like they owned that song.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, and so now that I've been going back, I've been looking up songs like in their history, and it's shocking to me how many of those early Dead songs were covers. I mean, great covers, and I'm glad that and like you said, they owned them. They took it over and they played the shit out of it and tinkered with it. But some of my favorite songs actually are not necessarily written by the Dead. But I think in terms of, let's see, I would say that my favorite upbeat Dead song is Big River. And then I would say my favorite, it's a tie. It's either New Potato Caboose or Cumberland Blues.
I dig it.
So, yeah. But then, again, subject to change at a moment's notice.
Well, I mean, that's the way that it works.
Yeah.
As
a rule, my favorite Dead song is the Dead song that I'm listening to at that very moment.
As Thomas Sowell would say, equal to what? I'm not even equal to the man I was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yes, very well said.
He said a lot of shit really, really good.
Yeah, he did. He's like so underrated. It sucks because there's very good reason that Rothbard and Mises and I don't know, trying
Hayek
to think
who are we going?
Yeah, potentially Hayek. Like they all are. They all get more credit than Sowell, as they should, and it's. But he is so articulate and so good. Like Basic Economics is incredible.
Well, and part of that I think is because at the end of the day, he does go Chicago school and not.
He kind of does, and that is disappointing. I think where he excels, and it's something that I don't have interest in, is a lot of the social issues.
Well, I was gonna say, but so much of that is because he has a class that they can't fucking argue with. Mm-hmm. Like you can't. No one can look at Thomas Sowell and go, "Well, you don't understand the experience." Like,
right?
He's like, "Bitch, I'm more hood than you've ever fucking been."
Yeah. I mean, he does. He has the credit, man. He has the credit. But unfortunately, for I just don't. I have no interest in any of that, and so I even shortchange Thomas Sowell when I shouldn't, and especially when it comes to writing style and how articulate he is.
Oh, he just has super this way clear.
He is. There's no bullshit. The structure of his sentences are very, very clear. like I've been kind of like on Twitter, I've been kind of like ragging on Prudhomme recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's partially because I've been going back and reading more of him. Whatever, I don't even know why, because a lot of his shit is just like, this is.
And I rag on Thaddeus Russell as a person.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only thing I rag on.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I've been like lightheartedly ragging on Prudhomme because obviously he had a lot of important contributions, but some of his stuff is like, okay, you know, this is a 9-page sentence, and at the end you just invalidated everything you said at the beginning. And
well,
like, so what the fuck are you
clearly you've never read Jacques Derrida.
Oh God.
Who?
Derrida. See, I'm one of those weird libertarians that studied phenomenology in college, so when Thaddeus Russell talks and I realize that it's 90% bullshit and that he misinterprets how the fuck all that shit
okay.
Postmodernism was warped as all fuck by the people that would consider themselves modern, like postmodernists or whatever.
See, this is
he's actually correct. Thaddeus Russell is actually correct when he says that like libertarians should love postmodernism, because he's right. The problem is that he takes it too far, and everyone who fucking follows it takes it too far. The idea is that everybody sees the world differently. It doesn't mean that the world is different for everyone. Like, it just means that your vision is obscured.
Yeah, I'm just you got the wrong guest on from the FAGcast to talk about that shit.
I'm just thinking about it because of fucking Mance's thing this week. This was recorded when he had Thad on this week, for those who aren't listening.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many people would have actually heard it anyways, because he took it down immediately.
Yeah, I managed to download it. I don't know if you listened to it. I enjoyed it. I thought he did a good job interviewing Thaddeus. It sounds like a pretty fucked up situation. So
it does. I'm more of a hands off in that whole thing. I like Mance and I trust Mance. Thad not so much, but that's just the Thad thing.
Yeah, sure.
Thad has weird things about black people that make me feel weird about him.
Oh, he does?
Oh, he's have you ever listened? He has a weird fetish about them.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm not exaggerating. If I hear people going off, like, I just have no interest in any of that shit at all. Like, I will turn off as soon as somebody starts talking about like race and like and any of this. It goes off like a soap opera. I'm just like, this is so fucking boring.
For me, the extent of my care about it is black women generally have bigger asses, and I find that attractive.
Yeah,
that's what I'm into. I'll talk about it. Me and Liz talk about it a lot, just because I think the angle of being in an interracial marriage does kind of it lends us a vision of it. But I get you.
I'm pretty over it.
Yeah, she hates talking about it. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I get it. But
yeah, I mean, it's I'll enjoy talking about it to the extent of like.
I'm not gonna lie. When we do eventually get Bird on, it's gonna be really difficult to talk about anything but Stefan Molyneux.
Oh yeah, well that was legitimately one of the most fun. That is the capacity at which I can operate in that space. Like, I have, if we're not interjecting jokes, like, I fade. So I think Bird knows that. I think that's why. Like, I have to have that, or else I am just so tremendously disinterested that I'm just out. But
oh no, but it's impossible to take anything he says fucking seriously.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know. It's like, but. And the problem is, it's like, where do you go with it? Like, what is the fucking point? Like, if you divide anybody, I don't know. I don't even want to.
Well, honestly, I've thought for so long about starting a podcast called "What's Your End Game," and because it's just all like, there's so many people, the left, fucking the race realists. I just want to ask them. So what do you want? What is this useful for? I got into it with somebody in the Part of the Problem forum, maybe a month ago, and I just laid out, I was like, look, dude, if you don't have a goal for this information, if it's just information, you think it just needs to be out there, okay, bring it up when you have a point. You think that race is so fucking important, bring it up when you have a next step. What do we do with this? If it's not applied information, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think I brought this up when we were on Pete Raymond's podcast. Is like, if you divide the world of 7 billion idiots on this dumb rock that we're on along any line, you will come up with different IQs, because that's just how numbers work. What's the fucking point?
No,
you know,
absolutely.
Like, it's just like, what? So what? I don't know how is this important, and why spend so much time on it? I mean, granted, I waste my time in a lot of dumb ways. Like, I take a look back at, a given day. I was like, wow, I'm, doing a lot of stupid shit that wastes a lot of time.
But Car, I think that your dumb ways of spending your time don't start out with a necessary delineation of human beings into superior and inferior.
Yeah,
that is literally the
very true.
I will tell you, I mean, I'm subscribed to Soul's belief. Like, I do not think that equality exists. I think that there are superior and inferior people.
Sure.
I'm not going to spend my entire fucking life giving a shit about it because it doesn't change the fact that there's still human beings with an innate humanity that needs to be fucking respected.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well.
I mean, the end. And so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, he's made a career out of it. It's like the...
Yeah, man.
The King Race Baiter at this
good.
point.
Yeah.
And he even got Lauren Southern on that tip.
Oh, is that right?
Lauren Southern's rough to me. I find her man voice very sexy. But
So random.
but the whole racist Canadian thing is weird to me too.
Yeah. I mean, I just come back to it's all just tremendously boring.
It is that. So, anyways, let's get some plugs in here, bud.
Oh, yeah. Well, I really only
I
have...
forgot I was on a podcast. Yeah.
yeah, right. We were just chatting. I guess I only have one. I mean, just swing on by at our weird part of the internet called Friends Against Government podcast, and give it a listen, and then turn it off promptly and never return.
I mean, it may hurt your soul. I can attest to that, but it may touch you inappropriately.
Well, we certainly will do that. We'll get in there.
If I might make a recommendation. If you just want to listen to a one-off, go back and listen to this past year's Thanksgiving podcast. I don't know that it was. I don't know that it was the first one that I got into, but it was right around when I first discovered you guys, and holy shit, I was fucking rolling the entire time.
Oh man, that's great. That's great to hear. I really appreciate it. We had somebody else say,
Gary.
I think Pete Raymond was saying that, and it's funny because I'm sure you realize as you've been podcasting that you that there's episodes that you don't feel were as good, but then a lot of people are really like them, and that's one that I loved to record, but I just didn't really feel like that there was.
Oh no, dude! There's few things in the world as funny as Gary Johnson out in the driveway. That's about what matters in that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anything against Gary Johnson, but man,
no, we don't either. I mean, no real hate. It's just dude.
Truth be told, out of all the people that could have been libertarian presidential candidates, him and John McAfee are the only ones I would probably ever want to hang out with.
Yeah.
I imagine Gary is a fucking riot to hang out with.
Yeah, I'm sure he's fun.
And I know McAfee is. Well, but you're probably not getting let back in the States and that fucking whatever you do on that trip.
Yeah.
So
if I had a harness that could pull me back to reality, on at any time, and I could just hit a button and just get evacuated. That would be my terms of.
You need a skyhook.
Yeah, a skyhook. Just bail, and that way I would be free to just take it as far as I could, but knowing that I could just hit that button on my harness and just get skyhooked right the fuck out of there.
The thing that's so frustrating I think about McAfee is that McAfee probably is without question the smartest person that's ever been on that stage for the libertarian fucking.
Probably.
If we're doing sheer intelligence, I do not think there's anybody else. The problem is that as with intelligence tends to come the crazy.
Yeah,
he is a complete nut job. I mean, he is a loon.
He's a beautiful conundrum.
Yeah.
So, all right, Car. It was a lot of fun talking to you, man. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully,
you
had a good time. Tell Bird we're coming on him. We're gonna get that guy.
Oh yeah, and you guys got to swing by the FAGcast and get a little slice of that weird pie.
I'm curious to have Car and Liz talk. I imagine that would just be. He could push her buttons just right. That's what it amounts to.
You know what? I tend to be a pretty good sport in most cases.
He would make that. Yeah. She does deal with me on a daily basis, so she'd probably hang. She'd just be looking at me like, what the fuck, the whole time.
What the actual fuck?
Well, yeah. Let's mix it up going forward.
There's another one of you out there. I don't know that I can go on living believing that there's a possibility that more than one of you nut jobs exists.
Yeah, that'll be.
So, all right, Carl, you have a good night, man.
All right, you too. Thanks again.